welcome back to the channel. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well, or hi, I'm Caitlin if you are new here. Today I'm going to be setting up my October 2021 plan with me in my bullet journal. I am obsessed with this theme. I have done something very near and dear to my heart. It is a Winnie the Pooh theme, which is a childhood memory of mine. Don't know if any of you have watched Winnie the Pooh when you were younger, so I've kept it with the 100 Acre Wood so I can shove in that autumnal themes but not be overloading. I didn't really want to do a Halloween, so I thought that this would be perfect for the fall coming up. I hope you enjoy and make sure to stay tuned to the very end where I shout out one of you. Alright, let's just hop right on into the video. For this October plan with me, I got a little bit out of my comfort zone with watercolors again. I am a beginner, so I printed off the reference page that I wanted to do, and spoiler, it's a Winnie the Pooh theme, so I divided the sections off into quarters for this page just so I know when I am penciling out my design on this watercolor paper, it accurately reflects the size of what the image looks like. I am doing a wet on wet technique here, and that just means my paper is wet before I apply any type of watercolor. And I'm starting with the lightest kind of watercolor I can, just putting in those base coats for the watercolor for this landscape. This is really going to help you build up the watercolor pigment and get all those little details. I did pick up a couple of different brushes just that are a bit smaller so I can do more details. If you did end up watching my September plan with me, I only ended up using a pretty big or round brush, and I wasn't able to get those details that I ended up being able to accomplish in this video here. One thing that I want you to keep in mind if you are trying and testing out watercolors is you want to apply your layers on dry. So wait fully for that coat to dry and then add in another layer of watercolor. That is called a wet on dry technique, and you're going to be able to make sure that pigment doesn't lift or smudge into any other colors as well. Everything that I do use will be linked in the description box down below, but I am using watercolors from two different sets. One is my Arteza watercolors, and then my second one, which you'll see a little later on, is I got some metallic watercolors, and oh my gosh, I am obsessed with them. I've been testing them out on a couple of other pages and couldn't help but use them in here, but I keep just layering all of those colors, and because we are getting into fall, I decided that I wanted to put in some more autumnal colors, so red, oranges, and what's the other color? Yellow. There we go for all of those leaves. I did end up having a couple of mistakes here and there, and so what I do is I just lift the pigment off using a paper towel, and you'll see that come through a couple of times during the video. So if you ever do make a mistake, that's okay. You can pick that pigment up with either a paper towel, or you can always have a clean brush and pull that pigment off with the water as well. I would say the thing that I was most nervous about was to tackle this bridge, and honestly, it was the easiest thing out of this whole entire painting. How I started off that watercolor, again at the very beginning you saw me just put in a wash of a brown pigment, and then I ended up having a little bit darker of a color and putting little squares over top, just kind of staggered throughout. I honestly love how this turned out. I was a little nervous to write out October to begin with because this watercolor was so beautiful and I didn't want to ruin it, so I did go in with pencil first. So if you're ever a little bit nervous on putting something in, pencil is your friend. Grab a pencil, grab an eraser, and you can write in everything that you need. I am sticking with a classic using this bouncy calligraphy style. I absolutely love it, and then highlighting it with my Jelly Roll pen. And that basically finishes off the spread. I'm adding in those hints of metallic colors here and there throughout the painting, but I absolutely love how this one turned out, and I cannot wait to be doing more watercolor throughout this month and really challenging how I can handle everything. The second page is just a little different. Usually I do a calendar right away. However, I wanted to make a spread that was going to focus in on my goals for the month and a general focus. So one thing that I kind of want to accomplish and how I'm going to get that done. And then I'd like to do a little something different as well with a favorites or a memories page. So I'm going to be doing a scrapbook type layout for this, putting in little pictures of Polaroids, writing things down. I really want to go out and explore the fall, so that is going to be where all of my photos go for things like pumpkin patch picking or apple picking, things like that. Photos to come. I did end up using all of the metallics here. I told you I love them and might have gotten a little bit carried away, but I really do love how this turned out. And of course, my favorite Tombow Fudenosuke pen in the color 942. Stunning, absolutely love this. I did end up cutting out a little bit of the side for that paper. That way it is easy for me to reference things like my cover page and my monthly calendar, which is up next. On the bottom here, you can see the cute little Pooh Bear. Because I wanted to get a realistic likeness to the character, I ended up borrowing a technique that I saw from Jesh or Jashi Curran. She is another YouTuber, and she did Olaf Summer Vacation a few months ago, and I thought it was super cute. So what you do is you color in the back with pencil of that paper, and you line over top the details that you want. You take it off, it's just like a transfer paper, but it's a do-it-yourself transfer paper. And it gives you a good reference to exactly how big things should be and where to color the lines in. I did end up going in with my watercolor and adding in Pooh Bear. I really loved it, and of course use my metallics as well. I did have to wait a little bit for this stuff to layer up because it had to wait for it to dry a bit. So keep that in mind when you are handling watercolors yourself. Again, then when it's completely dry, I came in just with my Micron pen here and added some outline details to Pooh to make him stand out a little bit better. I did end up having a little spill, which you'll see now, but it's okay. Paper towel cleaned it up, and thankfully it didn't water down any of my watercolor. Now that that is all fixed, I've moved on to the calendar portion of this spread for the plan with me, and I love this monthly layout for my bullet journal. It is quick, it is easy, and it always gives me a visual of what is going to come up in the month. I love just having that kind of reference versus a list, which I have done before in the past in other Plan With Me videos. On the right hand side, I am doing a content page, and I'm really going to be focusing my effort on posting on Instagram. I have been a little off with not posting over there, and getting back into that is one of my goals. So if you haven't already, go and follow me over on Instagram. I have it linked in the description, and while you're down there, maybe press that like button, maybe hit the subscribe button. It really does help my channel to grow and help support me. On to the next page, I am going to be doing my habit trackers. I've switched it up again a little bit this month, and I decided to focus on tiny habit. I read this book called Tiny Habits, and really it focuses on doing simple things right after you have a prompt. So what I am going to be doing is things like, after I get into bed, I'm going to open my book and read 5 pages. After I eat my lunch, I am going to walk around the block. And all of those, after you have a prompt, you do a small habit, and that is something that I want to implement. It's going to be a lot easier to track, and the likelihood that you're actually going to get it done increases exponentially. On the bottom here, I did a whole bunch of Pooh Bear's honey jars, and I really loved how they turned out, stacking with the honey then overflowing out of all of them. One thing that I would love your opinion on is this spread. I do like the way that the wood paneling looks for those titles. It is a little difficult to read exactly what those habits are, and I'm debating on whether or not to color them in red. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. Should I leave it as is, or should I color those in red to match the Winnie the Pooh vibe? I love a line a day. I've been doing this every single day to write down something that I am grateful for, and it just really puts me in a perspective of good thought, and I love having it in my journal. The last but not least page is probably my favorite. Okay, they're all my favorite. I know I say that every time, but honestly, I just love the way that this theme is evolving and turning out. I did Rabbit's Garden, and I always thought Rabbit was hilarious because he was just a little grumpy sometimes, but my favorite character from Winnie the Pooh would have to be Eeyore. I don't know, he was my favorite. What favorite Winnie the Pooh character did you guys have? Let me know down in the comments below. But for this, I did the very similar thing here, except the only technique that I changed is I used the paper to be completely dry and applied wet watercolor. Obviously, the watercolor is wet, but I did that so it wouldn't wrinkle the pages as much, because although I absolutely love my Archer and Olive notebook, sometimes those pages tend to ripple since it isn't a watercolor notebook, but it is super thick pages, absolutely love it. I did end up keeping the lettering very simple because I wanted the focus to be on the watercolor design itself, so I just did a calligraphy style, but that is really it for how my weekly turned out, and I'll be posting all of the other ones on my Instagram, so if you are interested in checking out more content, take a peek at that. Here is just a quick flip through of what we did today together, and I hope that you enjoyed. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you to I Am Millennial for subscribing and leaving a lovely comment down below. I'm happy that you found the video so informative. If you too would like a shout out in next week's video, make sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below. It really does help support my channel to grow, as well as you have any suggestions for future videos, let me know down there as well. I'll chat to you later. Bye!